High-level discussions between Russia and the United States were held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Tuesday, 18th February, with the primary goal of ending the war in Ukraine and restoring diplomatic relations. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and other officials met with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. These discussions could lead to future presidential dialogues. Ukrainian President Zelensky was also scheduled to go to Saudi Arabia, but United States had a plan to first host a bilateral meeting with Russia, followed by a bilateral meeting with Ukraine, and then hold talks with both countries together. If you observe, United States proceeded with discussions without Ukraine having a seat at the table. And this was bound to happen. Under the previous democratic government, Ukraine was heavily stirred up, and Ukraine made many foolish decisions that were very close to making World War III happen. But now a sensible American president has arrived who wants to really put an end to this matter once and for all, without unnecessarily involving people or engaging in pointless talks. So let's come to the analytical part of this video. Why does it seem like the United States under President Trump is trying to resolve the Russia-Ukraine conflict in a way that favors Russia's image? I mean, of course, stopping the war is a good thing. And as we all know, the Russia-Ukraine conflict happened largely because of the fire ignited by Western countries, especially America. So, in a way, America started it, and now America itself wants to end it. The only difference is that the president and the party have changed. The ideology has shifted. But American interests don't just change in such a weird way. There is definitely something going on that isn't visible on the surface, but it is happening in the background. So let's dig deep into it. So far, it is pretty clear that President Trump is trying to bring Russia a little closer. I'm not saying make Russia an ally of the United States. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying bringing Russia a bit closer. You can look at the actions of Trump's administration, having accepted the previous American government's stupidity and flaws over Ukraine. Then President Trump has also scolded NATO chief and has also shown criticism towards Ukrainian President Zelensky indirectly to shut his mouth and follow orders, and has also told European governments to increase their defense budget. All these incidents definitely ties into the narrative that the present US government is keen on getting Russia closer. I'll give you another incident that points out even Russia doesn't have any problem with the present US government strategies. You remember Trump said he wants Gaza Strip. He also spoke about relocating Palestinians to countries like Egypt to provide them with better living conditions. Trump described Gaza as a demolition site and has said he will transform Gaza into a Riviera of the Middle East, and he also said the Palestinians would not have a right to return. Did you notice Russia never voiced objection to Trump's Gaza plan? Otherwise, Russia always talked against Israel and America and has always shown support towards Hamas, Hezbollah, Syria and Iran. Russia often criticizes US policies, but sometimes it also engages pragmatically when it suits its interests. Therefore, Russia has not expressed opposition to Trump's Gaza plan is simply due to two reasons. We will do deductive reasoning and come to some conclusion. Let me first point out Russia's two broad reasons. Number one, either Russia doesn't see Gaza as a priority, or number two, some other interest of Russia is getting fulfilled elsewhere, and because of that, Russia doesn't really see any point in opposing the US president. Now let's look at the first point. The reason Russia doesn't care about Gaza is because actually, if you see, after Bashar al-Assad lost control of Syria, the interest of Russia and Iran in Syria has declined a little bit. However, Russia still operates a naval base and an air base in Syria. So if tomorrow America takes control of Gaza Strip and turns it into a new Dubai, United States will establish a military base facing the Mediterranean Sea to protect its investments and maintain regional stability. So keeping that in mind, Russia should have opposed somewhat, but they did not do it at all. Now when we look at the second reason, some other interest of Russia is getting fulfilled elsewhere. What does it mean? What interest of Russia is getting fulfilled? I want to inform you that there is also a Saudi-Egyptian counter-proposal to Trump's Gaza plan that is taking place in Saudi. Marco Rubio has arrived in Saudi to talk on Ukraine and Gaza. Arab countries including Jordan, Egypt, the UAE and Qatar are planning to discuss a post-war plan for Gaza in response to US President Donald Trump's proposal to redevelop the area under US control and relocate Palestinians. Arab leaders are not at all happy about the plan, especially related to relocating Palestinians. So what's going to happen is Saudi Arabia and Egypt's alternative plan to Trump's Gaza proposal will be discussed in Riyadh. Once this counter-proposal is formally presented, the focus will then shift to pressuring Israel to accept a diplomatic deal with Saudi Arabia. The reason I say that is because Trump is not going to invest in Gaza and turn it into an economic hub. It was just a statement he had to say. It is a non-realistic plan. America will never put in money, it will make the Middle East pay for it. So America will ask Israel to accept a diplomatic deal with Saudi Arabia, and in return Saudi Arabia is likely to offer official recognition of Israel. But in exchange, Israel will have to agree to some form of a Palestinian state or governance arrangement. The Arab states are using their influence to push for a resolution that ensures Palestinian rights, while also advancing their own diplomatic goals. This is where you have to connect why Russia is not voicing objection to Trump's non-realistic Gaza plan. Because Putin knows what Trump is trying to do. It is an old tactic of saying something blatantly loud just to get one side to make the first move. That is why Egypt and Saudi have prepared a counter-proposal for Trump's unrealistic plan by coming up with a $20 billion contribution from Arab and Gulf states towards the reconstruction of Gaza. So Putin is not voicing his opposition to Trump's Gaza plan because he is expecting some interesting proposals from Trump's side on Ukraine. There will be negotiations between the United States and Russia on how to carve up Ukraine's resources after the war. Both the United States and Russia have already agreed to work on a path to end Ukraine war. Marco Rubio even said that both the countries' respective embassies in Washington and Moscow would need to be restaffed for starting a new fresh diplomatic missions. So one thing that is pretty clear right now is that United States' strategy is to bring Russia closer. What for? I don't have any single clear answer. Maybe it could be a step towards pulling Russia away from China and Iran. Or maybe Russia has deeply infiltrated the United States using information warfare. Or maybe American government under Trump's presidency is going through a change of heart movement and they are genuinely overturning all the wrongdoings that happened in the past under previous administrations. And then there is the fourth point, which holds significant value, and that is, Russia currently has a lot of sanctions from the European Union. Informal talks are taking place regarding a fifth sanction package, which aims to target Russian agricultural and industrial exports, and could involve raising tariffs on products from Russia and Belarus. So we have to understand that Russian economy has been significantly impacted by European Union sanctions, especially given the extensive infrastructure and trade relationships developed between Russia and Europe over the past 30 to 40 years. These sanctions have disrupted traditional trade routes, compelling Russia to seek alternative markets. In response to these sanctions, Russia has redirected its exports, particularly oil, to countries like China and India. While these new market provides alternative revenue streams, the longer distances involved in exporting to China and India present logistical challenges and increased transportation costs compared to the shorter routes to Europe. While Russia has managed to find alternative markets in response to European sanctions, the economic impact has been substantial. The shift to longer trade routes introduces new challenges. That is the reason Russia is really keen on solving the Ukraine matter sooner with proper negotiations with the Trump administration. And Putin knows that European Union will listen to United States President Trump. So if you look at this situation from this perspective, you will notice that Russia expects Trump to resolve the Ukraine conflict as soon as possible and work towards normalizing things. This also includes getting the European Union to lift its sanctions, which only Trump can achieve. Because the United States can pressure the European Union by saying, increase your defense budget for NATO. And that's why we see that Russia is silent on Gaza and not saying anything against America. So it is like a mutual understanding, you handle this issue for me and I won't interfere in that matter. I'm not saying that United States is helpless. Even Trump administration will use the European economic sanctions on Russia as leverage to bring Russia to the negotiating table regarding Ukraine. Russia has traditionally supported a two-state solution to Israel-Palestine conflict, but then this time, it did not say anything to Trump's Gaza plan. So this kind of restrained response from Russia can be interpreted as a strategic decision to avoid additional tensions with the United States during sensitive negotiations on Ukraine matter. So let's see how things will unfold in the coming weeks. I hope you found this video informative. Thank you for watching it.